Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with you with another behind the scenes video. I haven't had that one in a while, so I thought that I would bring you with and kind of show you what I've done and so on. So today I'm going to be talking to you about a lookbook shoot that I did for Neve O'Neill and how I organized it and so on, so stay tuned. Before we get into this video, I would love if you subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell button so you can see all the notifications that come in. Okay, so as you guys know, probably if you follow me for a while, I've been working with Neve O'Neill for a very long time. We've been shooting together for years now. I think we've been shooting together for maybe like 6 years and so on. She trusts me pretty much, you know, entirely with her collections, which I'm very, very grateful for. It's not a usual thing to have this kind of trust with a client. Usually, you know, client has a certain way or certain vision in their head for their brand, and thankfully with me and Neve it just works out where we kind of both have a similar vision for the brand, which is amazing. She just kind of, you know, trusts me enough to just like let me run with it and let me run with my suggestions and so on. So when we started organizing the shoot, I was looking at possible locations and I offered the one that we shot in. I was like, you know, I told her I thought that it was a very good location. So after we organized that, we had to DHL the clothes to me. Thankfully we didn't have many problems. We shipped it off and it arrived pretty much the next day. We you know, kind of, we paid some duty, but it wasn't too bad, which was fine. I arrived there a night before just to make sure that I can just kind of check out the location. It's a hotel, so I could just stay there, so I booked in for the night. I paid for the night, and I just, you know, steamed everything, ironed everything that needed to be ironed, because the clothes arrived quite creased. That's one thing. When the customs go through it, they just throw everything into the box and it just looks pretty rough. Could you please stop? Could you please stop, you little shit? Could you not? Please. Not right now. Mommy's working. Mommy's working. Mommy's working. So we have this little guy. We found him on the street 2 weeks ago. His name is Smoothie. We thought that it was a girl, but it's a boy. And yeah, he's a little rascal, aren't you? Got your toes. Got your toes. He likes swiping me. Okay, that's enough. So in general, the shoot was going to be a half-day shoot. Usually if I know that the model and the team is going to be on point, I know that it's going to go quite quickly. I was very familiar with the location, so I was able to kind of map out in my head where I wanted to shoot. I also did a location scouting the night before, so I kind of had photos of all the locations that I thought that would be nice, which is always very helpful when you're doing those kind of shoots, because then on the day you don't have to be scrambling and like looking around. So if you don't have the luxury of seeing a place the night before, it's always better to maybe just, you know, go there early in the morning when the model is doing hair, makeup and so on, and, you know, just kind of look around and map out where you want certain looks to be. There was this one particular look that was this kind of like a candy style dress, and it was very soft and it was white and it was covered in those colorful dots, and I thought it would be really beautiful in this it was like a restaurant area that was super white, and it had like those really beautiful little like touches. It looked like a little candy shop, and I thought that it would just look perfect. So in this kind of situation, I could just put the dress on, get her in there, get the shot that we needed, and then change and just move on. It's always very helpful when you have everything planned out and when you have everything laid out, especially in a situation like this one where I was working with no stylist. It was just me, the model, and the makeup artist. The clothes are pretty much styled for me by Neve, so it's not like I need to kind of, you know, have a great knowledge of fashion or anything like that, which, to be honest, you know, I could do it myself, no problem, but, you know, it's just something that you don't have to worry about on the day. I was shooting very early in the morning. I wanted to start as early as possible. I think we were able to start at 8 o'clock in the morning, which is still kind of late already. I think the sunrise is around 6:30, so ideally you would want to start at 7 and be done by maybe 9 or 10. You have to keep in mind that in Bali it's super hot and super humid, so by 9 o'clock you are going to be sweating buckets. Hi. My sweaty face. And that's one thing that I don't think loads of people realize, you know, when you shoot any collections, even though it was spring, summer, the clothes were still very, very heavy for Bali. So the model was really, really sweating and it was getting really hot for her. And it's harder for the makeup to stay in place as well because the model gets very greasy very quickly. So our makeup artist Nata had like a little box of blotting papers, I think they're called, and she was just blotting the sweat off of the model basically, because that's the best way you can go about it. In those kind of situations, usually it's fine because you do want this kind of glowy look, so even if the model is a bit sweaty, it still looks pretty good. But it's just one of the things to kind of keep in mind, to maybe get yourself a pack of like blotting papers or something. You can get them in any like pharmacy and so on, and just blot the model's face just to make sure that it's nice and you know, kind of matte-ish. It's still not going to be fully matte, but it's not going to be super sweaty, and you know, you're not going to have, you know, sweat stains everywhere and so on. So for this particular shoot, I decided to rent out the Sony A7Riii, and the only reason for that is that I just really love that camera. I think the IAF is really on point, and I thought that it will be very helpful for the shoot where I can get the focus perfectly the way I want it. I thought it will be really good because I really, really enjoy the camera. I think it gives you really, really beautiful images, and the video was really nice as well. So I got some footage. I thought that I would put a little fashion video for Neve, just to have a little something, you know, just the model kind of swirling around in slow motion and stuff, and I thought that it would work very, very nice. So my current setup was 24 to 70 2.8 and the Sony A7Riii. I went for the 24 to 70 because I find it's a very versatile lens to have. So in general, I would go for a wider focal length, maybe something like 24 to 30, and I would stick with maybe like a higher f-stop, like maybe something like f5 or something around there. I find it's kind of important nowadays to incorporate as much surroundings as I need into my photos. I find when I first started photography, I would take bokeh-y, blurry photos of everything, but it's like when you have a location like this and you can't really tell you're in a location like this because you're using f1.4, what's the point? So I find it's kind of very important to maybe stick to the slightly higher f-stop and just show a bit more of the surrounding. By shooting at the 24 or 28 or 30, I'm able to distort the model kind of enough to kind of, you know, elongate her legs even more and kind of give the silhouette kind of like a very lean, long kind of angle, which I find is very, very flattering for shooting, you know, lookbooks and fashion images in general. Also, another thing that I found, and maybe somebody can shed some light on it, I find that the 24 in Canon seems to be way wider than the 24 in Sony, but they're both full sensor cameras. So is there actually a difference? Because sometimes when I shoot with the 24 on the Sony, it feels like I'm shooting maybe 30-35 on Canon. Is that an actual thing? Tell me, educate me, please. That's the kind of settings I would personally go for. Keep the f maybe a bit higher, maybe around 5, maybe even 6. I probably wouldn't go higher than that. You can, but I mean, to be honest, at f5 you pretty much see the entire background anyway. And I usually also go at a lower angle, so I'm quite low on the ground and the model is higher up. So in general, when you're shooting with some distortion, whatever is in front of the lens, so if you, let's say, put the hand in first, it's going to be much bigger than the rest of the body. So it's very important to kind of realize what proportions you want to kind of exaggerate and so on. So if you want to elongate the legs, just make sure that the model sticks it kind of closer to the camera, and this way you're kind of going to have your eye kind of starting at the bottom of the leg and then leaning up towards the end of the body, which kind of really, really elongates it. Avoid shooting anytime during like midday. I feel like once it gets to maybe like 10:30, 11, 12 o'clock, it just gets way too harsh. You get really harsh shadows underneath the eyes. So I feel like once you know, the light was getting too high, we would just hide inside, or you know, somewhere that is a bit more shaded, so kind of create a bit more kind of balanced look and so on. Or maybe another good tip is just to kind of have your model have her eyes closed and pointing the chin up, then you don't have as many harsh shadows on the face and so on. But in general, you know, I would just start shooting as early as possible and finish as early as possible, or just shoot in the afternoon towards the sunset when the light isn't as harsh. Okay guys, if you did like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe to my channel. Make sure to check out my Instagram for the photos from the shoot, and I will see you the next time.